Welcome back. I'm going to start today's episode off by saying I like to think of myself as being a pretty honest guy, and this is a very honest channel, I'd like to think. So I'm going to tell you now, I feel like because I've been so keen to make a success of this channel, I've been putting myself under a little bit too much pressure recently. I think I've been overthinking the episodes a little bit, trying to make them really broad and trying to touch on lots of different things. But I've decided, you know, I just need to relax, just channel my inner car gods, and just go back to just having a lot of fun with it and get cracking. So we really need to get this turbo finished. And me flapping about doing all these episodes isn't helping anything. So in light of that, I need to take the front bumper off anyway to tighten up a few of the V-clamps and check a few things. And I thought that was a prime opportunity for a quick pit stop just to answer a couple of the questions. And one of those was actually on my remote oil filter setup. So we'll get the bumper off and we'll run through all my routing and everything and we'll just touch on a couple of little points while we're there. So let's take a look. Right, little tip for you. The little bolts that are on either end of this, the little square bolts, don't even bother doing those up. I don't do on any of mine and they're a massive pain to get off. So that's about a 15-second job. So why would I need to put a remote oil filter on my Cinque turbo? So you may remember from the video where I did the review that I said, once you've actually got the turbo on there and you cut that the manifold to put the turbo on, there's no space for that oil filter at all. So I'm going to try and show you it best I can. It's not particularly easy to see it through this, there's not a lot of room, but I'll grab the camera and I'll give you a look and I'll explain. Right, so because it's so crammed in there, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit here, but if you imagine the manifold sits like this, the oil filter usually fits just here, which isn't a problem because the exhaust normally runs off there, so you can get your hand in, undo it. As soon as you put a big old turbo on there, you can only just about fit an oil filter. So the one I actually fitted, which I'll show you in a second, is actually one off a Clio Williams, so the Mark 1 Clio, because it's actually really short. Now, you'll get it on there, but next time you try and do an oil filter change, you have to actually take the turbo off, or the manifold at least with the turbo on it, just to get the actual filter off it, and nobody's got time for that. So what I've actually gone for is, it's a local thermostatic sandwich plate. So I'd always recommend you get a thermostat one because it opens around the sort of high 80s. Otherwise, it's just going to be filtering oil through your oil filter the whole time. It just won't ever get up to speed temp-wise for ages. And then usually you would bolt the oil filter onto that and then it would go off to your oil cooler. But what I've done is Mocha actually sells like a blanking screw-in bung. So it actually screws in, and then that way, the oil then obviously doesn't completely clean out the side of it and it goes down through the hoses. So if I just grab the camera, I'll show you where all this is routed and I'll show you where's, well, at least in my opinion, the best place that you can put it on at least a Fiat Cinquecento. Okay, so if you can see the my braided lines effectively come out this front on an adapter. So I've basically got two bent down adapters. My oil line runs all the way down under here. One goes into the bottom of my remote oil filter housing, so you can see the stubby little Clio oil filter, and then the housing itself is pretty simple. I mean, it literally, its only job is there just to hold the filter. It then goes up, let's see if I can fit this in there, through a little curved fitting, round through some high pressure hose, up into the bottom of the oil cooler. It then goes out the back down, then it runs all the way back underneath and then goes back into the sandwich plate again. So, I mean, effectively, all you really do is you're adding in just one extra bracket. So instead of the filter bolting onto the side of the sandwich plate, it just bolts in over there. But now, I mean, you could get it without the bumper coming off, but I mean, it's a 2 or 3 minute job to get the bumper off, and then you can get the Clio filter off easily. Now, you probably could run a slightly bigger filter now if you wanted to, but I'll just do really like regular oil filter changes. Otherwise, not a huge amount to report on it. That is literally a eBay special, that remote oil filter setup. It's from a place called Sunderley Performance. Now, I've bought a few cheap bits from them before, and it's actually been really good, so check it out. My shifter's from there, my oil catch can, and I think just that oil filter. But the other thing I got a little question on now was actually the turbo setup. So I'll just quickly show you that again, just so you know the sort of thing you need to do if you're going to modify a standard turbo. It's a pretty straightforward job, but you know, if I show you it, that's another question ticked. Boom. Right. So again, use your imagination a little bit here, because this isn't actually the right manifold. This is a 900cc, but this is effectively what you got. It's cast iron manifold. It's pretty handy because effectively it's flat here anyway, so it'll fall into that one section. So it's very much a case of getting this cut off, and then one of these. This is just a T3 mild steel flange. These are about £15. and then it gets welded onto there. So the only thing to bear in mind here is if you're doing this on a stainless steel manifold, it's pretty cheap to get it done. If you're decent with a welder, off you go. You can weld straight onto it, maybe heat it up a little bit. But with this, because it's cast iron, if you just did that, the first heat cycle of it would just crack. So you do need to take it somewhere that can properly heat it up with one of those oxyacetylene torches. They'll just get it red hot, whack it on there and then weld it. I'd probably say expect to pay about 60, 80 quid. If it's a stainless steel one, probably like 40, just because it's a lot easier. And that is very much it. Is it perfect? Probably not. I mean, with a turbo car, I would argue that a manifold's not quite as important. I mean, if you've got like an NA and you're chasing power, then yeah, equal length. You want it real free flowing and stuff. But I'd say to the most part, you can definitely get away with this for most of it. I would love to go stainless steel one day, and I'll be honest, you probably could buy a stainless steel, maybe like a 4-into-1 would probably be best, and then modify that. I've not actually tried it myself, but that's pretty much it. So that answers your question. So mine is actually, the manifold is wrapped, and I've actually got a carbon Kevlar jacket on it as well. I think that might be a Sunderly Performance one as well off eBay. I think it's about 40 quid. Absolutely 100% recommend that. There is so few inches of space and room in here for you to do anything with. You need to basically try and protect everything. I mean, the best thing you can ever do is actual physical airspace, even if it's only like an inch. If you can keep things an inch away, you're golden. But where you can, wrap it as much as you possibly can. Trust me, you'll pay in the long run. So there's only one more question to answer, and that's just around the shifter. So I'll just quickly do that. That's one for you, Robert. And then that is pretty much it. That's wrapped up for the pit stop video. So let's go and have a quick look. Okay, so the quick question about the shifter was just around the BMX handle. So it is literally just a standard BMX handle. There's no specific measurement I used. It's just a bog standard adult BMX handle. This, again, I believe might even be a Sunderly Performance extension. I'm actually pretty happy with it. So I cut the standard gear knob off, welded on the threaded section, and then basically just threaded it on and then tightened it up with the 3 grub screws, Loctite them on, and at the moment at least it's never come loose. But at least with the cinq, with the pull type, because obviously you always have to usually push it down to do it. Sorry, you have to lift the gear knob to get it into reverse. I have done absolutely no modifications to this at all. The little ball on the end of the wire fitted straight in. All I did was, at least for mine, it can't run up through there like normal, just because it doesn't stretch long enough. So just bend that down out of the way, and then you'll find then there is literally just about enough space that it clears that wire every time, regardless what gear you're in. And that is pretty much it. It works perfectly. It literally doesn't lock out unless you pull the gear. It's a little tight when it's in reverse, but look, not enough that it would ever snap anything. Obviously, if you've got a Seicento, it's a little bit different, isn't it? I believe it's a push down. So you could probably come up with something a little bit similar to that anyway. But otherwise, I think that's answered all the questions. But yeah, keep an eye out for new episodes coming up. I think it's going to have a little bit of a different feel now, a little bit more relaxed, and if I'm honest, a little bit more useful. I'm not going to worry too much about making them too broad. If they end up being a bit Fiat Cinquecento centric, then you know, whatever. That's what I'm into. So either way, look forward to sharing some more videos with you soon. Definitely stop by the Facebook page. I started to chuck a load more sort of stuff on there as well. But thanks a lot for stopping by. Hope you like the new, I say, format. And I'll catch you soon.